Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist game podcast. I am your host, Ben. I'm back at it, but I'm with my co-hosts. How you doing, guys? Thanks for holding down the fort last week.
Not a problem. I mean, we just, step up. I was hosting last week, and I'm Matt, by the way, in case you don't know my name. Learn it. Keep it out your mouth, though.
Yeah.
What up? It's Andrew. Yeah, no, this pod operates on the next man up principle. So,
I'm like a quarter of the way through listening to last week's episode. It was entertaining so far. Well, you guys did a good job. And Matt is the real hero for, he listens to like all our episodes. I only listen to the episodes I'm not on.
Same.
Because I've already listened to that one. I listened to it yesterday at work.
Yeah, I only listen. So it's like I think my record is I've only missed 2 episodes or whatever. I think Matt holds the the consistency challenge. I don't think you've missed a one.
Yeah,
I've missed one recording when I had COVID.
Okay, that's right. But yeah, he's got the crown right now. I may have to cede pod dad duties to Matt at some point. I'm
gonna find a care package on my doorstep, and it's gonna be tainted Cabot mac and cheese.
Yeah, folks. We were before.
This
is not a plug. This is not a sponsor. Before we were recording, we were.
I could get us a seat with the Cabot family.
We are residents of we're in Cabot country, so stranger things have happened.
We would be happy to be sponsored by Cabot cheese.
We get Cabot, we get Ben and Jerry's, we get darn tough socks.
Actually getting Ben and Jerry's would be on brand. They are.
Well, technically Ben and Jerry's is Unilever now, but
they've been Unilever for a while.
Yeah,
but Ben and Jerry themselves are
based.
Are uncategorically based. Yeah. We say we love Ben and Jerry's.
We hate when our ice cream gets political.
Going to Ben and Jerry's is always a good time. It's always fun. But yeah, we've got some things to go over today. Some kind of maybe like a content warning is a bit is probably necessary. There's some topics here going over like that mention, some difficult topics such as suicidal ideas, depression, domestic abuse. So, obviously if those things are difficult, we, don't trouble yourself just to give us a listen. But you are forewarned. We are moving on in. But before we do,
or if you're like us and you just consume content to purposely trigger yourself,
yeah,
you don't want to listen to it, just leave it on play and mute it.
you got to feel something, at some point, even if it's bad, I need to feel something at this point.
Sometimes I just hold a match and let it burn down all the way just to see if I feel something.
Because he's a real sicko, folks. But we've had some, maybe a little bit of a laid back gaming week this week, as we were talking about, and some other, real life things getting in the way. I'm about halfway. Actually, I'm just bit past halfway of Diofield Chronicle. Still enjoying all the missions. The story is maybe actually getting a little bit more interesting. The pacing is decent. It's a little bit better. I was saying to Matt before, like, it has the complete opposite objection
triangle strategy
that I did to Triangle Strategy, whereas Triangle Strategy, the pacing was far too slow at times. Diofield glosses over so many elements of its story so fast that my head just spins, and I have like all these weird fucking fantasy names, like, I can't keep straight, all the factions at play, like, doing all the politicking and stuff, but like, at a rate.
At least they're not all George R.R. characters like in Elden Ring, where it's like, okay, Godfrey, Godfrey, Godric,
and they're all brothers. Yeah, it's it's been fun. The the mechanics for for like the real-time strategy combat is fun. It's like a nice dabbling into RTS for me, like, but it's not as crazy as like, Grand Army RTS, where it's just like, the individual pace of each unit is really not that fast or whatever, but like there's so much going on that I just like my brain just shuts down. But it's been fun. I enjoy it. But for stream, I have started a new project, a new endeavor that I hope to see me through for quite a while. I'm diving further into the extensive BioWare catalog, finally biting the bullet and starting the Dragon Age series. I'm only one day in, about 3-ish hours of stream in, and based on my character creation alone, this game is going to be exceptionally crazy and exceptionally horny, as is totally on par with all BioWare games. Like, let's be real. Yeah, they're quote unquote RPGs, but they're
Dating
really
sims.
just they're just
It's funny to
boyfriend girlfriend simulators. Yeah.
it's funny to me to watch Western media continually step on the vaunted JRPG trope of this is a deep dark story, but it's actually just a dating sim, like on top of everything. Like that's the part you're really here for.
Absolutely. And you're lying if you say otherwise.
Like everyone knows that when they get to Final Fantasy VII remake, the part of the Honeybee Inn, everyone knows they're taking their time, they're enjoying themselves.
Sure, no, I did. But BioWare games, that's really what they are. It's all about, if you want to be serious, you could say, yeah, it's all about like, deep characterization or whatever, but it's all about which characters can I smooch? Which characters can I
smooch them all?
Yeah, I mean, if you can do it, that's what I say. But there's some beefcakes showing up already. We love to see it. Not a lot of waifus. Not yet. We had one betrayal already going on, so that was cool. But I'm on board. It's so weird to think about how like a 2007 game is like so old, but particularly in how it plays. It's
2007 was 5 years ago. What are you talking about? As my gray hair kicks in,
but it's like the gameplay. It's part of its age, sure, but I mean, I think a larger part is just it's a style of gameplay that I'm just not used to. So there's some bumps in the road for me as it goes right now, but I'm committed to building up that muscle memory, learning the intricacies, remembering to right click, not left click when I want to auto attack. That's the big one. That's the big one for me. But it's good. And again, my real only experience with BioWare so far is really just the Mass Effect games, and those are exceptionally horny. But the sci-fi setting, so I'm hoping for an equal level of horniness in this fantasy setting.
I think it's gonna hold up.
Everything I've
I don't
heard
know,
about
man.
it is
You don't have Jennifer Hale in this one, so
yes, that's our perfect transition to our first troubling news story. So my transition was going to be, it's like, speaking of horny sci-fi fantasy games, the big news of the past week has been the kind of exploding controversy surrounding the upcoming Bayonetta 3 and the contradictory information we're getting around why the original voice actor for Bayonetta, Helena Taylor, who voiced the Umber Witch in the first and second games, why she's been replaced by Jennifer Hale, who herself is a prolific voice actress, Notably, she was FemShep in Mass Effect. Big
No,
fan.
her most notable role was as the lead singer of the Hex Girls in the Scooby-Doo Halloween movie.
Sorry, I'm erasing her cultural contributions. I apologize.
Because that is what made a
rightfully
bunch
chased.
of millennials realize they enjoy goth girlfriends.
Yes. It's deeply ingrained into our DNA at this point.
I mean, there was a branch point for millennials growing up where it was a goth girlfriend or furry.
Furry, yeah, yeah. And you know, I've always got to say, why not both? Why not a goth? why not a big titty goth furry girlfriend?
Enlightened centrism.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I found the middle path. I walk my own. It's like a true Sigma. I walk my own path. There's this is like a back and forth story of
so many twists and turns.
Yeah, that's like there's a bunch of pettiness involved. There's a bunch of, I think rightful criticisms to potentially all parties. We obviously are always more skeptical of the, larger corporate entities, the groups who hold the real power in these situations. So we will, keep that in mind as we go through. But this started with, Platinum's original reasoning, claiming that Taylor would not be returning, due to various overlapping circumstances, the classic scheduling conflict type of thing. So, the game is at the time was, just about a month away from release. At the time of the release of this episode, it'll be about like a week and a half or maybe 2 weeks.
It's next Friday.
Okay. So coming out the day of release.
Yes.
All right. There you go. I thought it was 2 weeks, 2 or more weeks away at this point.
It's the 28th.
So in a four-part video on Twitter, Helena Taylor finally broke her silence and seemingly breaching the terms of her NDA has disputed the claims made by Platinum PR, insisting that this departure was due to the immoral compensation that she was offered. In the video series, she says that when Bayonetta 3 was in development, she was required to re-audition for the role. Standard practice in the industry, because with the long development cycle of these games, voice actors.
Bayonetta 1 came out in 2009. It's been 13 years from start to finish.
Yeah, so voices change over time as actors age, so they've got to still see if the continuity will still make sense. She claims she passed with flying colors, which then resulted in Platinum presenting her with what she describes as an insulting offer. She says that with the help of a Japanese friend in the industry, she wrote Platinum co-founder and Bayonetta 3 director Hideki Kamiya directly, demanding what she was worth. That was what I'm worth, is what she claimed. She says Kamiya replied by expressing his value for her talent, giving her, say basically, it was a bunch of, flowery speech, like, we so much, appreciate your work, like you've brought this character to life. And she claims, then said, here, we can give you $4,000 flat rate for the entire job. She then called for a boycott completely of the third installment. And then went on to, discuss her difficult financial state and its contributions to her mental health, revealing that she has dealt with suicidal ideation due to these struggles. And like I said, her claim was like, I'm breaking the NDA, but like, what are they going to do? Sue me and like take the clothes off my back? Like, good luck. She's basically like, I got nothing else. Which is, true. That's really sad to see. Regardless of anything else, we don't like to see, people languishing in poverty. So I think it's interesting also that, again, how she had to like, make sure that the letter that she put out was, or put to Kamiya was in Japanese, because we'll say that Kamiya is kind of notorious for being a bit and you could say maybe rightly so, aggressive towards the West. He like has like this, and this gets to the next bit. It's like he has this thing and will constantly refer back to people. It's like, if you want to ask me things on Twitter, it must be in Japanese. Like I refuse to, interact with any, he like basically just calls Westerners, little worms who are not worth his time.
I mean, to an extent, like there are people like, English speakers on the internet who are the same way whenever someone speaks to them in a different language.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's no different. Despite the fact that there are somewhat decent machine translation features, they're not great. They're honestly, they're not fantastic, but like it works.
Hey man, I used the Google Latin translator back in middle school for most of the Latin homework and got decent enough at it.
But it was funny to see then all the people, tweeting at Kamiya in Japanese, just telling him to eat shit. But so he tweeted a response to Taylor writing sad and deplorable about the attitude of untruth. That's all I can say about it now. So the sad and deplorable just, is for me just somehow just read as very, I can only read that in like the Trump accent.
Yeah.
Sad and deplorable. But yeah, all sorts of, journalists and industry people and activists, just, flooding his replies, just basically, because this is just, again, going off the information that we had at the time. This is the claim of, a $4,000 flat rate for the whole job.
Those kind of highlight some of the worst parts of the internet, how like immediately jumping on things with just the info at hand and not waiting things out more.
I mean, it's just it's
harassing Jennifer Hale.
That is the bad part. That's bad. She has nothing. She's the one who's been done the most dirty by this. She has, and Taylor kind of did throw her under the bus.
Yeah. No, it's like she threw that. It's just something I've noticed with like lots of internet forums tend to immediately take information at face value and circle jerk on it.
But I think a lot of the criticism going towards Kamiya was relatively well deserved, though, because he just kind of is an asshole. But like he did not handle the criticism well. Proceeded to have a meltdown on Twitter. Banning anybody who demanded that they pay voice actors well. Before temporarily disabling his account. I'm pretty sure it's back. At the time of recording, I'm pretty sure he's back up. But like, yeah, he did not handle it well, which, I gotta say, gives some credence to Taylor's
criticisms
that she's not being treated well. It's like, if like this guy can't react to just a normal person. How do you think he's going to react? Yeah, to the people who like he has direct power over.
I mean, at the same time, it's not necessarily normal to have hundreds of thousands of people harassing you constantly. That's not how normal interactions go about. Like, this is what I'm talking about with like internet culture jumping on people. Like, that's not how normal people behave.
Sure. I think that's
like
fair.
These people wouldn't be doing this if they were talking like face to face. It is a very
no, absolutely, that is true. But like at the same time, again, I don't think say Kamiya needs our protection, and he doesn't.
Oh no, I'm just putting it out there that like there's a lot of this type of stuff that is not like healthy internet relations on either end.
Nothing on the internet is healthy. Let's be clear about that.
That's not true. I have an entire tab of very healthy habits on the internet.
Oh god.
They are workout plans. You
okay. So fair enough. But yeah, so yeah, we already talked about it, but Jennifer Hale is really kind of the one who has gotten the worst end of this. She did put out a response that I'll read here. She says, with regard to Bayonetta 3, as a longtime member of the voice acting community, I support every actor's right to be paid well and have advocated consistently for this for years. Anyone who knows me or has followed my career will know that I have great respect for my peers and that I'm an advocate for all members of the community. I'm under an NDA and I'm not at liberty to speak regarding the situation. My reputation speaks for itself. I sincerely ask that everyone keep in mind that this game has been created by an entire team of hardworking, dedicated people, and I hope everyone will keep an open mind about what they've created. Finally, I hope that everyone involved may resolve their differences in an amicable and respectful way. With love and respect to you all, Jennifer Hale. Yeah, so she obviously can't get too much into it because she's not going to break her NDA.
The
Risk a
Jennifer Hale
backlash.
side of things is what tells me there's more to it than it's about money. It seems to me that Platinum didn't want to work with Helena Taylor anymore because like Jennifer Hale is going to cost you more upfront than Helena Taylor if you go based on prolific voice actor history.
Right. I mean, I assume her minimum is probably much higher.
So that's the only thing here that like I want to know like which side was having issues working with which side, because it's clearly not a money thing if Jennifer Hale is on your staff.
I mean, we say that she's prolific, and we know that she is, but who knows what she's actually getting paid? It may not be that much higher.
Because I'm just comparing based on IMDb, characterization. Like Jennifer Hale has quite an extensive catalog of voices she's done through history.
Yes, but that doesn't
Helena Taylor has done Bayonetta, a character from Hellsing Ultimate, and like a splattering of like a couple characters from the early 2000s.
Sure, and like usually, yes, more established. I mean, this is how it goes, and not necessarily. I know less about voice acting, but like I know that say big ticket stars and live action stuff obviously command more. Again, there's the whole idea of minimums. They've got to hit that thing.
Well, there's SAG minimums.
Well, it's personal. I'll say that they have personal minimums as well. The big stars who can command that. But I don't necessarily know how that works.
Minimum is that he needs to be running for his life at one point. He needs to be riding a motorcycle.
There needs to be significant risk of him dying.
Yeah,
for his craft, a real auteur, a real.
Can't wait to watch the man float off into space accidentally as his tether breaks free.
So now we got to move on to like that. Further reporting by Bloomberg has suggested that some of Taylor's claims could be misleading. That
I think this is notable because Jason Schreier is not typically a corporate friendly reporter.
He was one who has broken this bit, which Taylor herself has again firmly come out and said this is not true. So take that for what it is. But so the Bloomberg piece is suggesting that she was offered rather than a 4K flat rate, was offered $4,000 per session for 5 sessions. This does fall in line with those SAG union minimums, and which we gotta say then. So once this has come out, the reveal has led to all sorts of trolls digging up all of Helena Taylor's old tweets and social media likes to show that she shows that she has like some problematic and even potentially reactionary political beliefs, such things like Black Lives Matter, we'll call it trans skepticism if we're being generous.
Yeah, that's
if we're being generous. The tweet that was put out was not like, because someone was like asked like, does Bayonetta say trans rights, and she was like, it was very hedging.
Soft female power. Yeah,
it was not like it was borderline turf stuff, but we won't necessarily level that completely. It was if you're being generous, say trans skepticism, which is a wild phrase to say, but and this I have to put this one out as alleged because I actually was trying to find it but couldn't come up with it. I feel like there may have even been some Q stuff thrown in there.
I don't know about any of that.
Okay, so then I retract that. That's not the case.
I've seen all of the dug up, quote unquote turf stuff.
I mean, and she's British, so like she's highly susceptible to being a turf already. Say that is Turf Island, so like they love denying human rights to people over there. So.
Yeah. So the Bloomberg article broke it down that it ended up being $4,000 for 5 sessions, and when that was rebuffed with the 6-figure and residuals from Helena Taylor, that they offered her a 4,000 flat cameo fee. Like they were gonna like do a small cameo roll for 4,000 flat. And I think that's where we've seen some like manipulating might not be the right term. I'm gonna go gently and call it like misconstruing or like not understanding fully. It's like I think when she's talking about the 4,000, she's talking about the cameo roll after they rebuffed her offer when they decided they were going to move on to a different voice actor.
Yeah, so it is her claim is technically true. It is
yes. This is one of those like more info.
Yeah. So Platinum eventually, and this is coming from Platinum, not from Camilla, who again did not handle this well.
Well, yeah, that's why you have PR. That's why you have PR people and you have developers, because like not saying that all developers don't know how to have basic human interactions, but like I'm from a STEM field. I've seen plenty of us. We are normal.
So this statement says, "We at Platinum Games offer our sincerest appreciation to everyone who has contributed to creating the Bayonetta series over the years, as well as the community that has served as its foundation. We give our full support to Jennifer Hale as the new Bayonetta, in line with everything in her statement. We ask people to please refrain from any further comments that could disrespect Jennifer or any of the other contributors to the series." So appreciate, sticking up for the people that you hired, but like this has launched a larger conversation and for what voice actors are worth, and even if these minimums are sufficient considering the wealth generated for these companies by these performances.
Yeah, that's what and that's what like kind of how I feel is like, okay, even if the number is 20K, that still feels like a gross underpay for what I conceptualize the amount of work is here. But I don't know. I'm not a voice acting.
I go more towards value. The value
that too. No, 100%.
Because they're like voice acting is a huge role in terms of does a character read correctly? Does it therefore sell? People have responded, rightfully saying it's not just voice actors who make a game iconic or even just make a game. What about the designers, devs, testers, etc.? My response is yes. They all deserve greater profit sharing. All creatives and workers in general, they deserve the full worth of their labor value.
I think they have a term for this. Returning the means of production to the workers. Is that it? Something like that?
Well, it sounds familiar. It's ringing a bell.
Yeah, I do think the funniest part about all of this is like, I think this is the most Bayonetta has ever been talked about as a game. Because like not to be
stuff with the stats, right? You dug some
like not to be a person like that or anything, but like people like, Bayonetta is a pretty big game. Platinum Games is a pretty big studio when it comes to this stuff. Bayonetta 1 sold 1.2 million games. Originally on 360
is not that
PS3.
big.
And like Bayonetta 2 was a Wii U exclusive because Sega dropped the game. Like canceled production, and Nintendo scooped it up for a console that had a 13.4 million attach rate total in its lifespan across the globe.
Yeah.
And Bayonetta 2 only crossed 1 million in sales once it was ported to Switch, which also conveniently came with Bayonetta 1 packaged in. So Bayonetta is a series that hasn't necessarily had a heavy attach rate at any point. It's been more of the niche action fighter. And it's just like all of a sudden this conversation this week, it like some of it has lost the cookie when it comes to like people thinking that this is like a 10 million unit game. Like this is not a 10 million unit game.
It is still, however, the franchise still makes millions of dollars, so it's I still don't think it is wrong to say that these people are worth more.
I'm not saying that they're not worth more. I'm just saying it's funny to see a series that is often, just a niche game discussed so differently from people who've probably never played it.
Yeah, it is. Its fan base is dedicated and
they've there's the in-universe explanation of the different voice actor because this is supposedly a different Bayonetta in general. Like this is the little girl Bayonetta that you save in Bayonetta 1 originally.
Oilers, God.
I'm sorry for a
I just
13-year-old
I just bought it on Steam. Fuck you. And I bought it. I should say I bought it before all this came out.
I mean, I sent
was
the
on
meme
sale.
of like me buying Bayonetta 3 like next week.
With your hood
yeah.
up. Yeah. Going incognitus.
I'll just wear a Guy Fawkes mask.
You scab.
Yeah. Uncool, man. Very, very unbased of you. But speaking of based and not, and part of this whole discussion about voice actors, we've got Based Monkey Island. Dominic Armato, the voice actor behind the main character Guybrush Threepwood in the Monkey Island series, has talked about his return to the industry after a long hiatus, saying that he is only interested in paid union jobs, which the Bayonetta gig was not. So I think again, just the Tim Curry meme, this man is shockingly based. It's just hell yeah, absolutely. I just thought it was an interesting little thing that kind of got swept under the rug with all this, because the Bayonetta thing is still ongoing. People are still talking about it, but. And yes, the say SAG does give some benefits, but these jobs are still not fully protected.
Yeah, because what's the SAG minimum? It's like $780 something a session, and then if it's 5 sessions, it's $2,700 or something like that.
Yeah. So it's sad to see this is going on. Kind of interested to see what the sales end up being like when its releases next
if I
week.
had to take a wild guess, it's probably going to be somewhere around $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't think it's going to be impacted too much. Because let's be honest, even if this was all bad, consumers love to consume.
Well, that's the one thing that sometimes people forget online, is that like the people in internet forums like discussing things are not the average consumer.
Yeah, the people doing discourse at you are not the target audience.
It's like there's been discussion around the Black Adam movie coming out this weekend, and how like critics have panned it pretty poorly, and people on Reddit who've been circle jerking about the fact that like another DC movie is gonna like perform poorly and like not make its money back.
It probably
its opening night performance performed better than any individual The Rock movie so far.
Yeah, no, there's no way that's not going to make money.
Yeah, it's like you have to understand that the average person who just sees a commercial on TV and goes, "Oh, that looks like a cool movie," they're gonna just go to the movie. They're not gonna like go check Reddit's like 17 movie forums to make sure that the movie they're going to is based and selected by everyone.
Yeah, not everybody subscribes to like Variety and all the fucking industry periodicals. Yeah, they're just like, ooh, that looks cool. That looks like a fun evening out. Oh, let's do it.
Even though I will say, final part of the tangent is my roommate went and saw it last night and said there was like 4 people in the theater and 2 of them left.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that's a greater discussion on like Vermont is a small state, and like movie theaters here have always been less populated. But I think since the pandemic, I think the movie theaters around here have probably not been as used. Maybe the drive-in.
Yes, the last experience that I had with the movie theater was going to see going to see our boy Tommy C.
I was going to say the incredibly based and not cringe Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. Totally, definitely not military propaganda. Again, so good that the military propaganda.
If it was military propaganda, would I have gone out and bought an F-35? Come on. Like, honestly, Brandon told me I need one to defend myself.
Just be careful if it starts to rain.
Yeah.
Because then it might explode. Speaking of explosions, we had a explosive revelation to shake the Twitch sphere as our next major story. That again, further content warning. This one is a story discussing ongoing domestic abuse. So you are forewarned. But the main story that has taken over Twitch for the past week was the Twitch and general media mogul Amouranth, real name Caitlin Saragusa. Details her experience with domestic abuse in a series of emotional streams and all the ensuing fallout that has taken place. She was like on stream for a bit, then went AWOL for like almost 2 hours or something, returning eventually, in tears on the phone, with on speakerphone, where you can hear her having a distraught interaction with a man that she has revealed is her husband, which currently that was not known. But where in the call he's screams and berates her, threatens to kill her dogs,
This whole
as well
thing
as
so fucked up.
nuke her entire business, because it was revealed later that he had full control over all her accounts and financials, and had previously burned thousands, like we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, just out of spite, in an effort to control her. Like I saw one text exchange where he's like, texting her, and it's like, if you don't respond, if you don't like do this, I'm like putting out 10K to this thing. 10K gone. Want to try for 100? 200. Just clear manipulative shit. Really, really gross.
So fucked. So fucked.
Yeah. She later returned to Twitch, after taking, a serious hiatus, thanking all her supporters and updating that she was safe, despite someone calling the cops on her, presumably for a welfare check. I want to put this out there, folks. That is like, can be a good-hearted thought, but that shit's bad. How many times do we have to tell you cops are bad? They aren't here to help you. Like you're worried about, like, this man.
It's a common harassment technique.
Oh yeah, I mean, swatting is like a big thing. But it's like, it's like, oh, you're worried that this man is going to come and kill her dogs. Well, calling the cops is like probably the cops love
They
shooting
will
dogs.
kill their dogs.
So like, you're not doing much good here. It just happens to be that she is a wealthy white woman, so yeah, her risk is a little bit lower, but she's still a woman, so her risk is not nothing with the police. But yeah, don't call the cops, even if you think it is doing good. That's bad. It'll most likely end poorly. We're lucky to say that that did not happen here, but like, that is by far an outlier. But yeah, so after returning to stream, she said some things here that I'll relate. That she says that was actually the first time he, referring to her husband, has ever heard himself on a recording, adding that he had been recorded during other abusive calls, but had never agreed to previous attempts to have him listen to it. But obviously he was like listening to stream. I think when he heard himself on that call, it really sunk in how much of an asshole he really is. It's like, you never even realized, idiot. I mean, no, that's what abusers do. Amouranth says that her husband is away, quote, getting help, and that as of today, she had access to all her accounts and finances again, and she is seeking legal and emotional counsel. In detailing the strained relationship between herself and her husband, she claims that the abuse had been taking place for years, but would come and go in cycles. Again, that's how abuse. It's classic examples. And that previous attempts to explain her situation to the police had been unsuccessful because they wouldn't do anything unless she had been physically harmed. Again, cops are not here to help you. They are not your friend. So this is, again, that's the reality of the things that she's dealing with, from her abusive husband are, one thing. But then she also has all the, she, had all the support. That's great. We support her, stand in solidarity with Amouranth and all victims of domestic abuse. But she also had plenty of enraged, quote unquote, fans.
These are the guys who think strippers love them at the strip club. Like, yes. I don't even understand this. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, they're demanding refunds for their
And
subs and donations.
Candy treats me different than everyone else. I've seen it.
Like,
They claim that having an undisclosed husband was misleading, and I'm just like, yeah, because giving her money totally means you had a chance of being with her.
yeah,
And, like,
that's
let's just say this type of guy and this type of thinking, show it's like that this behavior reveals or this type of
I mean,
behavior
one of
serves
the
as
other sick, twisted parts of the internet.
yeah, I mean, it serves as proof that these guys should like be legally barred from ever coming within 100 feet of a woman.
Well, you've
Should be
seen
like
the. I
fucking
think I've
chemically
sent it
castrated
before
and
in the chat, but it was like, imagine like buying your Twitch streamer a Tesla and being referred to as like a subscriber, like not even getting your username and like the thank you or something like that. It was like a social media post. It was like, one of my subs bought me a Tesla.
yeah, it's like I don't know what the like it's just thinly veiled just disdain and hatred for women is what it shows. And again, just
You
anybody
don't
who,
understand. It's because one time in middle school, a girl in gym class made fun of my shoes, and I swore off women at that point.
but it's just I don't know what they expect to to happen here. I don't know what they were again, these people are really delusional, and they're like
yeah.
some people who are like doing the victim blaming, saying like she shouldn't have given her husband control of the accounts and the financials and all that. But it's like,
You know how when people have like a pet sign a letter, they like dip the paw and like they put the paw on something. Were these people sending like a Cheeto handprint on the or like a lock of hair?
yeah, it's just like I don't know. These people like should be definitely put on like, I'm not in favor of
On a watch list.
government surveillance and all that stuff, but definitely put these people on a watch list because and again, not that the cops or the FBI or anything is actually going to do anything about them, do anything to help them. If anything, they're just going to further radicalize them and give them the means to actually cause further harm. But it's just like, again, they should not be allowed. Anybody who posted something saying like, yeah, she deserves what she got because she lied and because she led me on and I need my money back. One deserves to be taken for all that money, and and again should be legally barred from coming into contact with any women.
100%. 100%. It's such a dark thing to think that way. It's like
they
you
need
really
to wear a government mandated chastity belt.
Yes,
yeah. But Ben, you're right. They should probably not be on a watch list because then they will end up doing crimes if they are.
We know how the FBI operates. We know what they do. We've seen it too many times. So
They're too busy catching that Arizona GOP candidate masturbating in his car outside that preschool.
Dude, sometimes you're driving and you just gotta get one out, man.
You gotta get the poison out, and you're not in control of where you say, where the the local municipality zones for schooling. It's not my problem.
How the fuck am I supposed to know? It's just a building.
Why I speed through school zones? So
yeah, just in case. All right, so yeah, that's some regulations that maybe shouldn't happen, but we've got some other regulatory activity that's going down. We've talked a lot, at near infinite length about the Microsoft Activision deal, but we've said before, it is a constantly evolving story. It is something that will be talked about at the very least until the deal is either completed or is actually squashed. But
or the heat death of the universe.
Yeah,
whichever one happens first.
Yeah. At this point, who knows? We see it. So the main bit of the discussion coming around is all centering around the Commerce and Market Authority. That's what it is. Yeah, the CMA in the UK, basically the UK version of the FTC. They are they're the ones putting the most scrutiny onto the deal at this point. They have officially moved into the more intensive phase 2 of its investigation, which, obviously Microsoft has then, been really pissed about. They're like, they're saying things like they've been unduly influenced by Sony's arguments and all that. And
You're listening to other people's complaints. It's not fair. I want Activision. I want it now.
So all that is going on, and that's like the larger context to keep in mind for the rest of basically the rest of all this stuff that's going on here to be talked about. But one thing I found interesting, it was reported that a significantly large block of ABK, Activision Blizzard King shares, were just recently unloaded. Roughly 3.7 million shares were sold at a price of $72.25 per share, netting the seller almost $270 million. So that's obviously a huge sum. But whoever sold these shares, the report mentions that it might have been Goldman Sachs, but that they would be taking a huge loss against the proposed sale to Microsoft. So this dump suggests a larger industry skepticism that the deal will go through. Because if it does
Sachs
fail,
basically looked at it and was like, "We don't think this is going to go through. Let's just get rid of the money now before we're caught holding the bag."
Well, yeah, and it's like because obviously there was a ridiculous premium basically in general, the Microsoft deal that I think was it's basically as kind of
that was the fiduciary duty discussion.
It was like 92 point something was the share price for that. But they so obviously if the let's just say the larger market conditions, we're in a fucking recession, folks. The price for the shares have dropped further, showing that that making the deal an even greater premium. But then obviously if the deal goes through, they'll take a huge hit to their price. So they are still probably going to be coming away better now than they would if it doesn't go through. As our market watcher, Andrew, what do you take of this?
I mean, I think it's definitely got to be someone. I don't know. I'd be surprised if this was an individual and not some sort of larger institution that made this move. And I mean, the stock. Here's the thing, though. The stock's up over the year. Who knows how long they held it for, but it's up 15%. There's not really many stocks that are up, at least at this, size through the year. I mean, the stock market itself's down over 20%, which is not good. So I think
I don't know what you're talking about. I changed the definition of the metrics, and now down 20% is fine.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing, actually.
You want to be down.
Like golf.
Gotta make people hungry, right? You gotta, hungry to grind. How else are you gonna drive growth?
Exactly.
Hungry for apples, I think you mean.
Hungry for apples. Yeah. So I think this is probably a combination of hedging their bets between. They probably have enough skepticism around the deal being closed. They probably have a negative outlook on the market going forward.
Like you said, if it's up and they're looking at it like we can take a known profit now that 100%. Is smaller than a theoretical profit in the future. I know a lot of companies will just take that known profit now and we'll just run with it because
if we know anything if we know anything about capitalism too, it's all about short-term game, right?
100%.
That is, sorry.
And if you're not positive on the long-term game, like you should pull out early. Like if you're not comfortable waiting and hoping that you'll get more money in the future just to lose money, like that's also
100%. And they're going to pick their winners, like you said, because they want to show at least some sort of better performance than the market. So taking and realizing these gains is even someone like Goldman, like $267 million is still a big trade. Like that's a significant sum of money for their earnings, especially if you throw on
Goldman could make this type of money.
20% they could have made.
All Goldman Sachs has to do is use Pod Sponsor Sportsbook to bet the over on our pod favorite New York Knicks on Monday night against the Orlando Magic. By the way, not sponsored.
So you're
having some fun.
Your point, Andrew, is like that, Activision stock on the whole is still, higher year over year, which means like in general, it is still, the deal is still probably, more analysts still, think, and more traders still think it's likely to go through. I think we are more confident that it will go through.
100%.
We're still confident.
I mean, I knew this was going through the second they bought it.
Yeah. So I still think it's unlikely, but like, this is showing a little bit of discord.
Yeah, a little bit of discord. And maybe, like I said, I think sure, maybe they've changed their math and they're like, it's a 60% chance it's going through, as opposed to like the 80% that, is probably the reality.
And that 40% chance is an unacceptable risk.
Yeah, even that. And I think, honestly, it's that they're probably more likely to be negative on their future market outlooks enough that they just want to take a win and recognize their gain here and whatever.
They're struggling other places. Like,
yeah,
that was another where I saw this article. There was another thing saying like, it's totally possible that, whoever this is, they just needed the cash. Right?
100%.
They needed 100%. The cash for some other deal.
Yep.
How funny would it be if this is,
and they had to do a
I was gonna say how funny would this be if this
paycheck,
if this is Saudi Arabia, though.
That would be hilarious,
because we know that they've got a lot invested in this deal.
Hey man, Saudi Arabia is building the future of cities with the line, so
they're gonna have to compete. They're gonna have to compete with Kanye's future city. I can't decide which content mine I want to be. I want to be.
Oh no!
Hey man, Kanye just accused Quentin Tarantino of stealing the Django Unchained idea from him. So
no, he didn't. It did. That's real.
This man cannot be stopped.
Oh no!
So continuing with all the stuff going on with the CMA probe as well, it is showing that the current deal between Activision and Sony will keep Call of Duty off of Game Pass for at least a few years, even if the deal went through. It is unclear if the much discussed written agreement between Sony and Microsoft, the one that Jim Ryan deemed unsatisfactory, would continue this agreement, as it has been reported in the press. But this discussion largely revolves around exclusivity, not access to Game Pass, which we all know is Microsoft's true priority. We've been talking about COD. We talked a little bit about it off channel, just because of some funny in serious quotes developments of its current campaign depicting real world war crimes. I mean, they've always done that, but again, they're basically, if anybody's is unaware, they're basically in the campaign, early on in the campaign, you recreate the assassination of Iranian General Soleimani. He's named now like Gobrani or something, but it's just so blatantly obvious. But again, a very recent war crime on the part of the US, in simulation. We'd love to see it, but so we all know that Call of Duty is the big thing that the whole probe is centering around, right? That's what all these regulatory agencies are focusing on, is gaining access to this franchise anti-competitive. Is it going to hurt the competitors? And so I just think this bit about Game Pass, which again is the bit that Microsoft is obviously trying to underplay. They are trying to, and we'll get to this going on as well, that they are like, constantly kind of self-negging themselves over, their status in the market, is to be able to build up this. Because Matt, you've made this point time and time again, is, that they're operating, to basically, purposely operate at a loss on all these things to saturate the market and solidify their position share in this new zone. This is where
Microsoft has the type of money that they can lose money for years on a subscription to put people out of business.
Yeah, and so like that, this is really what, like, yeah, they'll take, they'll take, keeping COD from going exclusive if it means going on Game Pass. So it's like where I think I'm highly skeptical of any agreement that Daddy Phil Spencer would agree to that would keep COD off of Game Pass. Because it's like even if yes, like keeping it available on Sony, like on PlayStation, it's, even if it's still available there, it's incredibly incentivized to, switch to Game Pass, where essentially for $10 at its cheapest price, $10 a month, you could, have access to, you won't have to pay the $70 for the new COD every year. You'll have access to this COD, all the other ones, everything else that's there, like that. It's highly incentivized that people from Sony would migrate. So I'm skeptical of any deal that they would sign to keep it off of Game Pass for any foreseeable time.
No, I would be shocked if they actually agreed to
that. But we know for certain that this deal, the Activision deal, is all about, I mean, everything Microsoft is doing is all about Game Pass, but it's also it's this deal in particular is truly about mobile. It's not about like the franchise in general. It's about the strength that the King portion of ABK brings to their ability to, put out mobile versions of, because like they're clear on that mobile and, to some extent streaming, as that we will see, is maybe a little bit, they kind of contradict themselves a little bit in the next story, but like that, they're fully aware that mobile is the, highest growing, highest grossing sector of, and I always put it in quotations, gaming.
Yeah. Gaming. I mean, it's just pure market though, in the sense of like, how many people on this planet have a smartphone versus how many people on this planet have a computer or a console. Like you have 6-year-old children who have cell phones before they'll have any of those other things.
Yeah, and with dumbass parents who don't put parental controls on, so have complete access to the mobile.
My kid spent $1,200 on Fortnite. Why is your credit card linked to the Fortnite account?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, yes, there is some level of self-responsibility, but we can't, let these, corporations off the hook. These things are highly predatory.
When you play Fortnite mobile, it's linked through the App Store, which is where the credit card is hooked up to.
Yeah.
And like that's just at least I know on like play.
And but here's the thing. It's like just Apple. It's just like that shit's built in order to have like full functionality of your iPhone. It has your credit card information.
Super cool.
And like, it's like you have to be actively going into making sure that there are restrictions in place, to make sure that you are, that there isn't just free, say free access. You have to make sure you're going through parental controls. They make it as difficult as possible to get as much money. It's clear. It's, it's obvious.
That's like, on my phone, if I'm making any sort of payment through the App Store or anything like that, I have to both verify my password first because I said it this way, and then thumb scan on the fingerprint scanner.
Good old 2-factor.
And like that is just a great way to prevent any sort of accidental tomfoolery.
I just do Face ID.
Then they're going to make a deep fake of your
face. Apple's doing the deep fake, so they're going to get you that way. Can't
100%.
Win. But yeah,
can't wait till you'll be in court one day and you'll be like, I don't remember saying that at all. And then they play the footage of your deep fake saying it with AI voice generation.
It will happen.
I didn't say that. It wasn't me.
It is definitely happening. But yeah, Microsoft they're very quietly building a mobile Xbox store that will rely on Activision and King games. Their statement reads, the transaction being the deal, will improve Microsoft's ability to create a next-generation game store which operates across a range of devices, including mobile, as a result of the addition of Activision Blizzard's content, building on Activision Blizzard's existing communities of gamers Xbox will seek to scale the Xbox store to mobile. I thought it said extracting, which is like, oh no, they said the quiet part out loud. But no, it's attracting gamers, to a new Xbox mobile platform, shifting consumers away from the Google Play Store and I think it's supposed to be the Apple App Store on mobile
My
devices.
question to the party is: does Candy Crush count as passive income for Microsoft if this deal goes through?
Yeah.
Like how much updating do you have to do to Candy Crush every year to make people pay for it?
A lot. Wine moms love Candy Crush. So
I've heard people in public have the like, oh yeah, like go by it. It's like, wow, he's Candy Crushing with speakerphone on.
I mean, like that's par for the course. As like I think at least 80% of Candy Crush players are boomers at this point.
Majority of at least US mobile gamers are, Gen X and above.
Yeah.
They're just jealous that they didn't get to grow up in the beautiful generation where we had consoles and PCs at access at will.
Well, let me just finish off this statement really quick. It's just another sentence. It says, so they're trying to move them away from the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store on mobile devices. This will, however, require a major shift in consumer behavior. Microsoft hopes that by offering well-known and popular content, gamers will be more inclined to try something new. And so this is just like, I think you guys talked about it last week, Apple, Epic, and Google and all those shenanigans. But we know that like
Google's paying people not to have app stores, man.
But it's like we know from everything that Apple does that creating their own store would effectively eliminate their ability to sell on Apple devices. Right?
Yeah, I was going to bring up the fact that if they think they're going to sell on Apple without going through the Apple Store, like they're going to, especially being Microsoft, not exactly friendly with, Tim Apple over there.
Tim Apple. Yeah.
Say what you will about our boy Donnie T. He knows how to give a nickname that just sticks. But yeah, so like I don't. This is obviously like they're unless they're have some better integration on Android that will be able to effectively compete with Google Store. They're going to forego the bit of
Google
the market
has
for
played
Apple
very nicely with Microsoft on most of their apps on Android. Like letting full functional Office apps be there alongside like the Google Docs and Google Sheets, which is something that they didn't used to do. Like they were
we've seen so much litigation going on, right, between these tech giants that and we've talked about this in the past with its arranging issues. Like we talked about this with like Meta and the Meta store and the Meta Quest store and all that stuff. It's like these storefronts are how they fucking make their money. It's all about they take that 30% taste off the top,
digital landlords.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. That is the perfect way to think about it. It is truly the passive income. They're not developing these games. They're not putting the resources in. They're just taking the a huge chunk off the top for nothing, for hosting.
Hey man, they're providing that access.
When people
real generous of them.
Yeah, when companies are like, yeah, but like we'll do it without you, then they're like, okay, like go make a new OS and host it yourself. And the only ones who've like stuck around were Amazon, who used Android, basically paid for the right to use the Android kernel, more or less. And Roku, which is also its own kind of like Android based operating system. But like not many of the additional OSs have stuck around for more than one or two generations.
Yeah, because the adoption rate is, people are going to just stick with what they know, right? And what they know works. So we're getting towards the very end here, so let's just kind of power through this. I already mentioned, the Microsoft is adopting this strategy of self-negging.
We don't know how to make games.
Their attempt to counter all the concerns of the CMA is like they're just basically like, yeah, we're little piss and shit babies who can't make games, and that our tech sucks ass. Nobody likes us. So they're continuing this now with their cloud tech. There is a recent reveal. Again, this is all from filings with the CMA stuff. They say today, this is all about cloud gaming. They call it immature. Today, cloud gaming remains in its infancy and unproven as a consumer proposition. They added that it didn't expect the situation to improve in the next few years, and the company doesn't foresee cloud gaming will replace consoles or PC, and called it a new and immature technology. They followed this up that it's in their benefit to encourage competition in the field in order to overcome the hurdle of consumer adoption. To say which at this point hasn't happened. It's like they're like, why would we limit our? It's like we need more people to be doing this and investing in this to get people to see that this is the future. The future is now, old man. It's basically you have no other options. We're all going streaming. You've got to pick one, and then they'll fight. They'll fight for it. Then they'll fight over the who comes out on top later. But it's just, the strategy behind them is just very funny. It's just like, you can't say we're a monopoly. You can't say we're anti-competitive. We don't know what we're doing. We suck at this. Help me, please.
We only own the operating system of like 80% of gaming PCs in the wild.
There's like, cloud gaming tech is immature, yet we hold the entire infrastructure for all cloud resources.
Who's the number one cloud provider? Who's number 2 in cloud services? Us or 3? It's them, Google, and Amazon.
We are one of 3 of the major players in cloud computing.
Yeah.
Just like putting their fingers together, just doing the who me?
Yeah, the oof, yeah, for me. So it's funny. It is very silly, and I'm pretty
at this point, I'm half expecting Phil Spencer to go into one of these hearings with like sad clown makeup on.
For as Anglophobic as we are here, it's kind of nice to see that that the CMA actually doing something, and I think doing more than the FT. For as as much as people love to say that, like Lena Khan or whatever, the new head of the FTC is like, she's like bullish on antitrust stuff, and it's like we've seen fucking nothing.
Yeah,
from,
they haven't done shit.
The FTC is 3 corporations in a trench coat, as Mike has said.
Yeah, it's bullshit. So like to see the UK do something is surprising.
Hey man, the UK is the one who's like pushing things forward. They're the one who was like, "Hey Apple, you need USB-C by 2024. Do it."
Yeah,
and Apple is going to with their fingers together and just chop the port off.
Yeah, you just have to get our own proprietary
wireless charger.
Yeah, this is wireless charger.
And then we'll sell you a case that converts the wireless charging to wired charging, and it's still lightning.
All right, so should we end today on some actual good news here?
Definitely.
I think we need it after today. Blizzard Albany, formerly Vicarious Visions, has won their right to hold a union vote with their current proposed voting block of QA testers, officially beating back Activision's attempts to dilute support by demanding that every single person at the studio involved with the Diablo franchise to be a part of the vote. This is a common strategy. The Diablo part is unique, but like basically it's a common union busting tactic.
Actually, it's for everybody. Union. They make the people who develop Diablo vote for some reason.
Yeah.
Weird rite of passage.
So,
no, they're just going to have the ballot box be next to like a man in a pickup truck with a rifle.
Yeah. I mean, they're following the normal playbook here. They'll never learn because, it's not in their, not that they're not learning. It's just that they know it's directly hostile to their interests.
It's a lot easier to feign ignorance than it is to.
So, I mean, we'll keep folks updated. Solidarity with Blizzard Albany and all their organizers and workers. They, the fact that they're, that they've won this ability to vote as is, I think their odds are very good. They seem well organized. They've, from the bits that they have made public, their proposed bargaining unit, is very much in line with each other. There's strong solidarity. They've got a, greater than a super majority already. So, things could change. Again, intimidation tactics are real and have proven to be effective. Just look at various Amazon unions and all this, all those efforts. So again, solidarity with them. Stay strong. We support you. We love you. But that'll do it for us. A little bit of brightness on the horizon. Hopefully things continue that way. Anything else before plugs? Think
Nothing
not.
on
All right.
mine.
All right. So follow us. You can follow us on Twitter at CamcomPod. Check out the live streams at Twitch, or say twitch.tv/campaignComrades. It has always been that address. You will always find us there. Come,
I've already
yeah.
gone through and scrubbed all the old audio files.
Say I've put it in. I've gone back and scrubbed through the episode descriptions and changed the titles, or changed the address. So yeah, go ahead and find us there. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to engage with you in real time.
Only if you agree with us.
Mike's not here, so he can't plug his TCG player.
TCG player / cut the mic.
No,
gaming.
no. Shush. He's got to be here in order to get the plug. So yeah, he doesn't get the reward of the plug if he's not here. So
Nico, put the redacted bar bleep.
Yeah, please bleep Matt out where he says that. All right. Until next time, we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.